All right, vanish into the world of magic with us. I am seeing some seriously interesting sources here, and I have a feeling this deep dive is going to be one to remember.
And I'd say that's because magic has a way of grabbing people across, well, all of time and culture.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, how did it all begin?
Well, I think to understand that we kind of have to, we need to go back, way back.
Take us back then.
Okay, so imagine ancient Egypt. The magicians back then weren't, well, they weren't just performers. They were like really important people, almost like priests.
So more than just entertainment.
Oh, yeah. They used these very elaborate rituals, and they were all about connecting with the divine. It's kind of hard to imagine now, but it was a whole different world.
It sounds like it was a pretty big deal.
Oh, definitely a big deal. And those practices, well, they kind of laid the foundation for how magic, evolved.
So how did we go from like these ancient rituals to like, pulling a rabbit out of a hat? How did we get there?
Yeah, well, things took a bit of a darker turn, I guess you could say, as we moved into the medieval period in Europe.
Oh, getting mysterious.
Yeah, so magic, it got all mixed up with witchcraft and, well, the supernatural. It was a different time.
So less about the divine and more about like spooky stuff?
Well, yeah, kinda. It was this time when magic, religion, and superstition, it was all kind of blurry. The line between them was really hard to see. People believed in the power of magic, for good or for evil.
Wow. So how did we get from, those mystical beginnings to the magic shows we know today?
The 18th and 19th centuries, those were turning points.
Right.
I'd say that was the true birth of what we know as modern magic.
Okay, yeah.
Street performers and stage illusionists, they were captivating everyone with their sleight of hand and these, big, large-scale illusions.
So it was more about, I guess, more about the spectacle, less about connecting with, those ancient forces or the supernatural.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's when a guy named Jean-Eugène Robert-Houdin, I mean, he kind of changed the game. They called him the father of modern magic.
That's a cool title, the father of modern magic.
Right. And he actually, believe it or not, he used his magic skills to help the French government.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That sounds like a story.
He was so good at mechanics and illusion that the French government actually sent him on a mission to, well, they were having some trouble in French Algeria, and they sent him there to, well, to basically use his magic to, I guess you could say, calm things down.
No way. He used magic to help the government.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. He convinced the local leaders that he could strip them of their power.
I mean, talk about thinking outside the box.
Right.
Okay, so Robert Houdin, he kind of set the stage. What about like the really famous magicians we all know, like Houdini, right?
Oh, of course.
You can't talk about magic without talking about Houdini.
Right. Harry Houdini was, well, he was in a category all his own. He wasn't just a magician. He was well, what would you call it? Like a master of escape.
Oh, yeah. Pushing the limits, right?
Totally. He was all about those incredibly feats, like escaping from handcuffs, straitjackets.
Even underwater.
Yeah, I mean, how did he do it?
The mind boggles, really.
Well, he knew everything about locks and restraints. And, well, he was just unbelievably strong and determined. He turned his body into like a magic trick itself.
Yeah. And then you've got, going in a different direction, you've got David Copperfield with his grand illusions.
Yeah.
Like the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Right. He was all about spectacle.
I mean, the scale. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, he was a master at, blending storytelling and theater into his magic. It was more than just a trick, it was an experience.
And then you've got David Blaine.
Oh, yeah.
Like he brought magic like back to the streets, It was raw, it was real, it was up close.
Yeah, exactly. He was all about those crazy endurance stunts, like being buried alive.
Standing on a pillar for days.
It was like he was, almost like a performance artist.
Yeah, he was doing something completely different.
Right.
So we've gone from like ancient rituals, to grand illusions on a huge stage and back to the streets again. It's amazing how much magic has, changed over time. But what about, the magic itself? How does it actually work?
Well, I can't give away all the secrets.
Of course, of course.
But I can tell you it's all about misdirection, sleight of hand, and a really deep understanding of how people think.
It's like they're playing mind games.
Kind of like, yeah, even something simple, like when a magician says, pick a card, any card.
Right.
It's not just a random thing, it's a technique.
Oh, so it's all calculated.
It's misdirection, they're diverting your attention.
So even the simplest thing is a trick. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is, yeah.
So it's not just about like, learning a bunch of tricks.
No.
There's more to it.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more.
Wow. Well, I feel like we're just getting started, and we've already uncovered so much. What else have you got for us?
Oh, we've got plenty more to explore. Before we move on, I want to pick up on something you mentioned
Okay.
about, magic, how it reflects society's beliefs and fears.
Yeah.
I think one illusion that really shows this is that classic, sawing a person in half.
Oh, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. It's so anxiety inducing, you know.
Yeah, it really gets to you.
You're watching, the saw going through the box, and you can't help but feel like this surge of like almost fear.
Right, like a primal
It's
fear.
it's amazing.
It's tapping into that fear, of being vulnerable,
Right.
of our bodies being fragmented.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how that illusion even came about. Like who is the first person to like volunteer to be sawn in half?
I don't know. There are a few different theories about where it came from.
Okay.
Some say it goes all the way back to ancient Egypt.
Really?
Others say it first appeared in the 19th century.
Wow.
But no matter where it started, I mean, it's a classic now.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere.
And it works every time. It's amazing.
It's a classic for a reason.
So we've talked about like sawing a person in half,
Right.
which is like pretty dramatic.
Pretty intense, yeah.
But what about like the smaller illusions? Like card tricks.
Card tricks. Yeah, those are great. I mean, a really skilled card magician can make cards appear, disappear, change places.
Right. It's amazing how they do that. It's like they're like controlling the deck with their minds.
It's like almost like a dance with the cards.
It's so fluid. It's so fast.
Sleight of hand, that's the key. And that takes, well, years to master.
Right. Like they're practicing for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. They got to get the timing just right, the precision.
And you mentioned psychology earlier.
Yes.
Like how does that play into card tricks? It seems like there's more going on than just like, fast hands.
Right. They use a technique called forcing.
Forcing.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's well, they subtly influence your choice of a card.
Oh, okay.
It's like they make you think you're making a 50 choice.
Right.
But they're really, well, controlling the outcome the whole time.
So you're not really picking the card you think you are.
Exactly.
Wow. So how do they do that? Is it like hypnosis or something?
Not exactly. It's more like I guess you could say subtle suggestion.
Okay.
The way they use their words, their body language.
Oh, interesting.
Even the way they fam out the cards, they're drawing your attention to certain cards.
Wow. So they're really like manipulating your perception?
Exactly.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
Now, switching gears a bit, I'm kind of curious, like how the setting of a magic act influences the impact.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is there a difference between seeing magic, like on a big stage, versus, something more up close and personal?
Definitely. I
Okay.
mean, a grand stage production, think David Copperfield, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
creates this sense of like spectacle.
Right?
The sets, the lighting, the music. It's
Mm.
all about like transporting you somewhere else.
It's an experience.
Exactly.
It's more than just a trick.
Right. But then you have street magic, which is, well, it's much more intimate, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It's more spontaneous. It's real.
There's no fancy stuff. It's just like the magician and their skill,
Right.
and they're right there.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
what makes it so captivating.
And then, of course, you have close-up magic, which is even more intimate. It's like magic happening right in your hand.
Right in front of your eyes. You're so close. And you still can't figure it out.
And that's what makes it so great.
Right.
It's that feeling of like, how did they do that? That just, it sticks with you.
It really does.
So, from those big stage illusions to card tricks and street magic, it's amazing how versatile magic can be.
It really is.
And it's not just about entertainment, right?
Yeah, well, it's not.
There's a deeper meaning, like a message that magic can convey.
Absolutely. Magic can tell a story.
Right.
It can explore, hope, possibility, the power of the human spirit.
It's inspiring in a way.
It can really challenge how you see the world.
Yeah, it's telling you that, anything is possible.
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious, as magic keeps changing, keeps evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those core principles of magic, will they stay the same?
That's a good question.
Or will technology and new innovations change the game?
That's a great question. And, that actually leads us perfectly into our next discussion.
Oh, okay, okay. So here we are, our grand finale. We've gone through like the whole history of magic,
It's been quite a journey.
met some legends, uncovered like the secrets, or at least some of the secrets behind how it works.
Right.
But now I want to look ahead. What's next?
The future of magic.
What's the future of magic?
Well, I think it's a really exciting time to be, involved in the world of magic
Okay,
because technology is changing so fast.
right,
And we're seeing this like fusion of those old school techniques
right.
with, all these new innovations.
So like what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Virtual reality,
Oh, wow.
augmented reality,
Okay, yeah.
even artificial intelligence, all that is finding its way into like the magician's toolkit.
So instead of like, the classic pulling a rabbit out of a hat,
Right.
we might see like, I don't know, a digital dragon being pulled out of a VR headset.
Exactly. Technology, it's letting magicians create these experiences that, well, they blur those lines between reality and illusion.
Wow, that's amazing. So you can have a show, like a magic show where, I don't know, you're using your phone to like interact with the illusions,
Right.
or maybe you could see levitation that looks totally real because of, some crazy
It's
technology.
the direction it's going, yeah.
So technology, it's like it's adding this whole new level of like wow to magic.
Definitely.
But do you think like as we get more and more of that, that traditional magic will kind of, disappear?
I don't think so. I mean, technology's great, but those core principles, they're still the foundation.
Right.
Misdirection, sleight of hand, understanding how people think.
Yeah.
Those things they're always going to be important.
So it's like any art form, really.
Mhm.
The tools change, but the fundamentals, they stay the same.
You got it. It's the human element, that connection between the magician and the audience. That's the real magic.
So what other trends are shaping the future of magic?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot more emphasis on storytelling
Okay.
and immersive experiences. Magic, it'll be less about just, doing a bunch of tricks
Right.
and more about like crafting a really engaging story.
So like a narrative.
Yeah, like you could have a show where the audience is part of the story,
Oh, wow.
or maybe illusions that are woven into like a theater production, with music, dance, and all that.
So it's like magic is going to be like mixed with all these other art
I
forms.
think so. Yeah, it's about creating the like multi-sensory experiences.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, what about the magicians themselves?
Yeah.
What will they need to do to, to stay on top of things as magic changes?
Well, they're going to have to be adaptable,
Okay.
comfortable with technology,
Mm.
and really good storytellers. I mean, they'll need to be masters of both those old school techniques and the new tech stuff.
Wow, so they have to be like masters of everything.
Pretty much, yeah. And of course, they need to understand people.
Psychology.
Yeah, to really connect with the audience.
So they're going to be like modern day alchemists,
Yeah,
combining all this stuff to create something truly magical.
that's a great way to put it.
Wow. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of magic, I can't believe how much we've covered.
It's been a lot.
From those ancient rituals to like those cutting edge illusions. I mean, it's been incredible.
It really has.
And, more than anything, I think what we've learned is that magic, it's not just about, tricks. It's about pushing boundaries. It's about, reminding us that anything is possible if you just use your imagination.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So keep that sense of wonder alive, everyone. Look for the magic in the everyday, in the ordinary,
It's all around us.
and never, ever stop believing in the impossible. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.